What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, live for your official week number 6 NFL review show. We are going to discuss the biggest storylines, my biggest takeaways from all of the biggest games of week number 6. I felt like week 6 was definitely very interesting, and I felt personally that I learned a lot about these teams, and I learned a lot about certain games. So I took a lot of notes this week, going back and watching most every game. And we're going to start with Monday Night Football. We're going to work through the biggest games. We've got to talk about the Chiefs and the Bills. We've got to discuss where the Patriots are at right now. Of course, we must discuss if the Bucs, is it time to panic in Tampa Bay? The 49ers, a beat-up 49ers team, lose to the Falcons. We'll discuss that and where they are at. But before we get started, guys, don't forget to spike the like button and subscribe to the channel for more BLV just like this. Also, spike the notification bell to be notified when I go live just like this. I go live for the weekly review video live stream after every Monday Night Football. If you're unable to catch it after Monday Night Football, maybe it's a bit too late for you. It's prime time for me, but maybe it's a bit too late for you. Then just catch it the day after. It's all good. It's all good. And if you are catching it the day after, leave a comment in the comment section below. Any comment whatsoever. A question for me about the week, I'll definitely respond. A bet that you might want to make in week number 7. Maybe how your fantasy team did this season or this last week, or where your fantasy team is at, or who you should start this week. Anything NFL related. Leave a comment below. It definitely helps this video. It helps the channel and helps people just find this video if you engage with it. So just leave a comment in the comment section below. Help out with that YouTube algorithm would be much appreciated. Before we get started with the breakdown, guys, do want to give a quick shout to the YouTube members out there that have signed up. We have quickly been gaining YouTube members for the BLV community, and I absolutely love to see it. We had another awesome live stream last night for Eagles Cowboys that was exclusive for YouTube members and patrons. So if you guys are interested in joining the BLVer community, whether as a patron or a YouTube member, I highly recommend it. For YouTube members, they get exclusively the live streams that happen once a week that are not shown publicly on YouTube. They also get the BLV versus Consensus podcast on the YouTube membership. And then Patreon patrons, they get the best bets of the week. They get my bets every week, the real bets that I make every week. They also get all the perks and all the props of being a YouTube member as well. So Patreon is probably the way to go if you're a bettor, but if you are just all about the live streams, all about the live chat, and all about the community, I would check out YouTube membership. Either way, definitely helps me. So let's go. Let's begin with Monday Night Football. And I just think that Monday Night Football, man, it just underscores. It absolutely underscores. And it's just funny. There's a lot of bad football being played in the NFL right now. There's a lot of bad football being played. Tom Brady said it. But I feel like we saw bad football on Monday nights. We continue to see the absolute biggest hate watch in the NFL, known as the Denver Broncos. You know how people listen to an artist they don't like, but they listen to the album anyway so that they can rant about it on Twitter, or they watch a show that they actually claim to hate, but then they rant about it on Twitter, or, they talk about it with their friends. That's what the Denver Broncos are. They are the hate watch of the NFL. They are absolutely gross. They are absolutely disgusting. They are absolutely atrocious. But people can't get enough of watching the Denver Broncos punt the football, Russell Wilson run in circles and get sacked. The just nonsense of Mr. Hackett, the coach. They are unbelievable how bad and how absolutely disgusting they are to witness with my own two eyes each and every week. And they continuously are put on primetime television. Continuously. Primetime television. It's unbelievable. And this is just the bad football. It's almost like the NFL is saying to us on Monday night, we have a lot of bad football going on Sundays, but people don't catch it all. So we've got to showcase it on our biggest primetime spot, Monday Night Football. We're going to pay Troy Aikman and Joe Buck to do commentary for Russell Wilson and this absolutely disgusting Denver team. That is what the NFL is doing. The other lesson that I took away from the week this week is how much coaching matters. I look across the NFL and I see teams that don't deserve to be winning games the way they are winning. But because they have good coaching, because they put their players in positions to succeed, they have an opportunity every game to come out on top. We're seeing that with the New York Giants and Brian Daboll and Wink Martindale. We're seeing that with the Atlanta Falcons and Arthur Smith and Dean Pease and what they're doing with Atlanta. We're seeing that with Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots. We are seeing that in reverse fashion with teams like the Denver Broncos, like the Los Angeles Chargers, like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We are seeing bad coaching and good coaching take full effect in the NFL right now. So let's talk about Monday Night Football. 19-16 was the final score. And I look at this game and on paper, right? This is a game the Denver Broncos have to win. They're 2-3 entering Monday night. They play in Los Angeles in a place where there's no home field advantage. I swear the crowd was louder when Herbert was in the shotgun on third down than when Russell Wilson was. I think there were more Broncos fans in attendance tonight than there were Chargers fans. I don't know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. I thought that it was louder when the Chargers had the football. So that just shows you there is no home field advantage. 2-3, must-win game in the division. Monday Night Football. You've been atrocious. You have a 10-day rest, maybe 11-day rest to prepare. You had a Thursday Night Football game last week. It was absolutely awful performance versus the Indianapolis Colts. They blew that game. They need to win this game. They come out, they play like doggy doo-doo. Okay? The Denver Broncos come out, and it's fantastic. I'm like, maybe the Broncos turn the corner in the first quarter. They get 2 scoring drives back-to-back, which is absolutely an unbelievable feat. It's unbelievable that they scored 10 points. Because looking back at it, they couldn't move the ball for the rest of the game. They went 5 straight possessions with no first downs in the football game, ladies and gentlemen. Not a single first down. Not a single one. Are you kidding? Not a single first down. And Denver on paper matches up well with the Los Angeles Chargers when you really think about it, right? Defensively, they've got a strong pass rush, especially on the edges right now. They're getting to quarterbacks. They're disrupting quarterbacks. Well, the Chargers, they're without some of their offensive linemen, especially Rashawn Slater at left tackle. Bradley Chubb, Baron Browning, these guys should feast out there. And they did for the most part. They really did. Pat Surtain can take on one-on-one Mike Williams. Mike Williams was kind of an afterthought for the offense of the Chargers, and we saw the offense of the Chargers struggle because of that to generate explosive plays and to generate big plays. We saw it, right? They match up well on the defensive side of the ball. Simmons is back. in the secondary. Like, everything was in place. On the other side of the football, you got, okay, well, the Broncos have struggled to throw the ball, right? No Joey Bosa for the Chargers. The Chargers do have some talent in their pass defense. We know this. But they can't stop the run to save their lives. Well, it turns out the Denver Broncos couldn't run the football on the Los Angeles Chargers, who haven't been able to stop the run since, I don't even know when. What year? I mean, the Chargers couldn't stop the run last year. They haven't been able to stop the run this year. I mean, the year before that. The Chargers can't stop the run, and the Broncos couldn't run the football. They're trying to run the football with dinosaurs at running back. They got Latavius Murray. They got Melvin Gordon. I mean, they refused to put their best running back in the game, Mike Boone. They refused to put him in the game. Doesn't make any sense to me. So you look at the matchup, the Broncos on paper, this is a game they have to win. This is a game that their season's on the line for me. Like, you drop to 2-4, which they do here. They lose 19-16. A muff punt loses them the game ultimately. And my boy Hopkins, the kicker, goes out there for the Chargers. My goodness, have you ever seen a kicker exaggerate an injury more than this man? I mean, he was getting up there to kick. He'd kick it, he'd fall over, and then he'd like take his knee like Martin Gramatica there when he hurt himself. And he'd jump up and down after he kicked the 32-yard field goal. Like, bro, I get it. You're injured. You want to sell it. You're looking like Ric Flair. I mean, my goodness. Who taught you how to sell? Triple H? I mean, my God. This guy is selling the injuries like nonstop. Like, I get it. You injured your leg. Okay? You don't got to act like Shawn Michaels after you kicked a field goal. I mean, my goodness. The guy is killing me out there with these field goals. But I got to give a shout out to the Denver defense. I mean, as bad as their offense is, they continue to perform. Baron Browning's an absolute baller. Bradley Chubb has been a beast. I mean, this defensive line, beast. Herbert's really the only reason the Chargers, move the ball in this game. I mean, Eckler, they got a little bit of a run game every once in a while, but not much. Mike Williams couldn't do much out there. They really tried to attack that rookie 4th-round pick, Mathis, a lot. But he was looking like Rashean Mathis out there. I mean, he was locking it down for the second half. He was kind of rough in the first half. He took a bunch of PIs and holding calls and stuff. But once he got settled in and once he kind of understood the ref was going to call him on everything. By the way, the refs were terrible tonight I got to look this up. How many penalties were in this game? I mean, how many penalties? You had, I want to say like 20 penalties in this game, just off the top of my head. No wonder it's 19-16. There were like 50 penalties in this game. So, the Denver Broncos had 10 penalties for 151 yards, guys. 10 penalties for 151 yards on Monday Night Football? That's your product, NFL? That's your product? And then the Denver Broncos, the Chargers, 9 penalties, 89 yards. That's 19 penalties in the game. The biggest star of the game is the damn ref. After every play, I'm looking at the bottom of the screen for the yellow marker. I mean, imagine being the scoreboard guy, the graphics guy in this game. He's got to put penalty up after every play. Goodness. What is going on? We got a penalty on every play. And I actually thought the biggest improvement I saw from the Chargers in this game was 2 things. I thought the Chargers offensively did a good job of understanding, and Herbert did a good job of understanding distribution to his wide receivers. I thought he kind of tried to get everybody involved. We saw Sony Michel get involved. We saw Austin Eckler get the football. We saw Gerald Everett get the football. We saw DeAndre Carter get the football. We saw Josh Palmer get the football. This wasn't a Mike Williams game, but when they were able to move the ball, and that's a good defense in Denver. Like I said, that Denver defense is tough, even without Ronald Darby, which you saw, they attacked that matchup with Josh Palmer versus that Mathis kid continuously in the first half. There was a ton of penalties because of it. There was a ton of moving the chains for the Chargers because of it. But I thought Herbert did a good job. I thought their offense did a good job of distributing the football. What I worry about with the Chargers is the lack of explosiveness from the offense. I mean, even when Keenan Allen comes back, if a team has one solid physical big cornerback, you can take away Mike Williams. There's no vertical element to this team on offense. I mean, nobody's scared of them running past a secondary. Nobody's scared of Herbert, who has a cannon for an arm. I mean, the guy has one of the best arms in football. You should be scared of Herbert rolling out to the right and throwing the ball across the field 70 yards for a touchdown. Nobody's worried about that because the Chargers have no vertical element to their offense. They've got no speed. So you're not worried about that. That allows you to play all this short intermediate stuff, like continuously tackle. As long as you tackle and as long as you can wrap up and play the run well, the Chargers really don't have a lot. And the Chargers, they work their way down the field, right? It's like 4 yards here, 5 yards here, 6 yards here. If Herbert isn't pinpoint accurate, if they don't get good protection, if he's, and the Denver Broncos were constantly moving him off his spot, constantly forcing him to move around. Luckily, Herbert's just different and he's great and all that. But I mean, the Chargers need to figure out how to create some explosive plays. The big plays are not there right now. I did like the distribution. I did like how they moved the football to different playmakers, but the big plays are just missing from this offense. Eckler's still an animal. I mean, and I think the offense is going to be real nice when they get Keenan Allen back, and they've got some depth there with Palmer, Carter, Everett. The tight end position's improved. I like it, but they need that speed, and they don't have that speed. Defensively, I thought the Chargers improved with their run defense. That was clear. They were a lot better in this game. But I do kind of think that a lot of it had to do with the Denver run offense. Like, it was just not good. It was terrible. Like, Russell Wilson, man, after the first quarter, atrocious. Like, the guy, how many times you got to see the same blitz off the same side coming? Like, how many times? The offensive line can't pick up a blitz. PFF's still going to rank Cameron Fleming as the fourth best tackle in the NFL. I mean, it's just terrible out there. It's terrible for the Denver offense is the most unwatchable thing in the NFL right now. It's so unwatchable. They can't pick up a blitz. They can't run the football. They think Jerry Jeudy is the next coming of Randy Moss. They're throwing him go balls. The guy can't run like outside the numbers. He's a slot receiver that's supposed to run option routes. Cortland Sutton, MIA, don't know where he was at in this game. And actually, I will say this, as much as I love J.C. Jackson, once they pulled J.C. Jackson for Michael Davis, the Chargers defense got a lot better. J.C. Jackson has not fit in well with that defense. Part of it, I think he's coming back from injury, but part of it is he's not being utilized correctly. This is my biggest problem with Brandon Staley. If he doesn't have the correct players to be in his system, he doesn't know how to utilize his players to their best ability. He doesn't know how to utilize Herbert to his best ability. Herbert's just that good. He doesn't know how to utilize Keenan Allen or Mike Williams that well. He doesn't know how to utilize his defense, his defenders. He doesn't know how to put them in the best spots to succeed. I mean, J.C. Jackson's playing off coverage. This is a physical man-to-man coverage corner that plays press coverage. And you got him lining off 10 yards off the ball. I mean, I don't know what that's all about. It's brutal stuff. This game was terrible. Both teams stink. The Chargers, like, I want to put them higher in my power rankings, but I watch this team. They're poorly coached. They don't kick field goals when they should. Their special teams is always sloppy every year. Their defense can't stop the run. They did today. But, like, I have no faith in that defense versus a good offense. They were only good because they played a shit offense today. They were lucky they played the Denver Broncos today. They would have been blown out versus any good team. And the Broncos, they're a bottom 10 team in the NFL. They can't move the football. They can't score points. They can't pick up a blitz. They can't do anything. Their defense is good. They keep them in games. That's it. I mean, I'd promote the defensive coordinator to head coach. Fire Hackett's ass. He's terrible. That's Monday Night Football for you guys. Those are my takeaways. I look at this game. I don't think any of these teams are good. I think they both stink. I like Herbert a lot. I like the talent on the Chargers a lot. I mean, just imagine if Sean Payton was coaching the Chargers right now. This team might be undefeated. This team would be one of the best teams in football. If Sean Payton were coaching the Chargers right now, which, by the way, if I'm the Chargers, why have I not made that call yet? Why have I not made that call? You got Justin Herbert, not in his second contract yet, in his prime, and you got Sean Payton stating he would take that job. Why is he not in Los Angeles already? Why has he not taken the flight? Why does he not have a ticket to LA to coach the Chargers yet? What is going on? The Chargers are... I can't rely on them, and the Broncos just suck. They can't score. Both these teams suck. I can't stand it. So the next game we're going to talk about, we got to talk about the game of the week. Aqua's in the chat. What's going on, Aqua? Nice to see you, brother. He says that Sean Payton would have the Bengals, Broncos, and Chargers undefeated. Big Al says the AFC version of the Carolina Panthers, they suck. He's talking about the Broncos. Ryan says, what's your thoughts on the Packers to fix the offense and the defense? Ryan, I will say this. I have not gone. That was the one game I just couldn't get to yet. I've watched like most of the games. I wanted to get to the Packers game. I have brief thoughts on the Packers just from what I saw live in the game, so I'll get to that a little bit later, but I can't give you a truly in-depth response. But what I would recommend is tune into my power rankings, because I will discuss it more in depth, because then I'll go back, I'll watch the full game, so I'll have more of an understanding, and then I'll talk about it within the power rankings, which I'm struggling to kind of rank every team in the league right now, past like the top 4 or 3, really. So yeah, we'll get to that. Shout out to Harley Quinn, Ninth Wonder, Odd Big King, Daniel, Foot, Matthew, everybody for joining the chat. Thank you guys. Atlanta fan. Bills versus Kansas City. Game of the week. Some people were calling it game of the year. This was a really nicely played football game. This was good football. This was fun football to watch. You know, the score was only 24-20. I love 24-20. I am a big fan of 24-20. That is my football right there. We got some defense. We got some fourth down, go for it. But the defense comes through with a big blitz, a big pressure at the right time. We got just enough human mistake there. You know, a couple drop passes here and there, but not like too much to overtake from the entertainment of the game. We've got great quarterback play. We've got good coaching. We've got good game plans on both sides. Not too much ref interference. You know, 24-20 is my type of game with some pretty good defense, but mostly offense. You know what I mean? That's my type of game right there. Now, when I look at this game, I think my main takeaways from the game are the way the game was playing out and the way I was sitting there watching this. I was sitting there commentating it. This was a live stream this week, guys. Shout out to those that tuned in. When I was watching it live, it really felt like this was the type of game the Chiefs wanted it to be, right? We're watching this game. This is the type of game the Chiefs wanted it to be. It was slow. It was deliberate. There weren't a lot of big plays. Buffalo goes out there first drive. They drive all the way down the field. They fumble the football off some whack stuff, right? They try this like speed option play, and I don't know if Allen was supposed to pitch the football or not, but he pitches the football, goes through McKenzie's hands, and it ends up being a fumble, and the Chiefs get the ball. Chiefs drive all the way down the field. They have a chance to take a 7-point lead. Mahomes throws a pick in the end zone, trying to hit Valdez-Scantling on a jump ball. By the way, if you guys want to clown me, the biggest time you can clown me is right now for starting Valdez-Scantling in fantasy football last week. I mean, my goodness. I end up losing this week by 12 points. The man had 0 points. I mean, are you kidding me? What an absolute clown. I will never start Valdez-Scantling in my life in football. In fantasy football. Not once more. I'm done with Valdez-Scantling. He gets a touchdown called back, and that's it for him. He has a chance to win a jump ball. Absolute clown. Done with Valdez-Scantling. But I look at this game, and I say, the Bills didn't play their A game. This game didn't go the way the Bills wanted it to go. The game kind of shifted towards the Chiefs and how the Chiefs wanted to play it. The Chiefs wanted to keep the ball away from Allen. The Chiefs were blitzing the Bills and picking up some big defensive stops. At one point, the Bills were kind of stalling on offense. And yet, the Chiefs didn't win the game. I mean, I really looked at the game and I felt like the Bills, if they play their A game in this one, they probably win by 2 scores. They probably win this game comfortably. It kind of felt like everything fell in place for the Chiefs. The Bills were even having trouble at the line of scrimmage with the crowd noise in the game, and that was an underrated element entering the game. It felt like Josh Allen and the miscommunication, which I think also caused the Bills to be a little bit more vanilla than they typically are on offense. I wasn't overly impressed with Buffalo's offensive game plan in this game. We saw very limited, quarterback runs from Josh Allen until they really needed it at the end, which I kind of wonder. When I looked at that, I'm like, did Buffalo learn a lesson from last year of holding back maybe something? It felt like Buffalo was holding it back a little bit on the offensive approach. Like last year in the regular season, they blow out the Chiefs, right? And it felt like that was a kitchen sink game for them. They put everything into that game. They put all their emotions into that game. And it ended up hurting them in the playoffs, right? This time around, it felt like the Bills, they were just playing it like it was another game. They weren't trying to be overly creative on offense, overly dynamic on defense. They weren't doing anything real special. They were just playing their game for the most part like they typically play. We didn't see anything truly different from them like we have seen over the past couple of matchups between these two teams. Now, between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, that's the big story of the game. That's the big thing. Everyone compares it to Peyton and Tom. I will say this, though. It's a little bit different. I mean, not only because of a stylistic standpoint, but you got to think about the Tom and Manning matchups. I mean, the thing that made Tom and Manning so special was there was direct conflict between both players in terms of Brady was a 6th round pick. He was a late round pick. Manning was the 1st overall pick. There's that storyline inherently. There's the underdog versus the golden child. And then on top of that, you got the guy that wins versus the guy that wins individual awards. There was always that direct, who's your guy directly, right? Allen and Mahomes, it's almost like they're the same guy, except Allen has accomplished less. I think that this rivalry will actually be better if Allen is able to win something this year, because then that will be okay, they're pretty much the same. You know what I mean? And I think that Allen has been the better player the last couple of years. I think Mahomes was a lot better early in his career, clearly, but and Mahomes has still been very good, but I think Allen has slightly been better. And I think in this game, Allen was slightly better. I think he made more plays, extending plays with his legs. I think he made that key hurdle run at the end. He didn't turn the football over with some boat-headed plays in the game. Mahomes did. So I do think Allen outplayed Mahomes in this game. Not to say Mahomes played bad, but I do think that Allen played better. I will say that. Looking at the game, though, I do think Andy Reid, again, back to the whole point of the way the game was flowing, I really thought that Andy Reid outmanaged McDermott in this game. Feeling the game out, I thought Andy Reid gave his team a really good chance to win the game. The way that he was managing it. And then McDermott, in certain situations, I thought was really, really poor. And that's the same thing that goes back to the AFC divisional game last year. I like McDermott. I think he's a really good coach. But in these close games, I think there's something to it. Buffalo's not very good in close games. It's big that they won this one in a close game, more so than they would in, a blowout. Buffalo doesn't usually win close games. I do think there is something to that with the way that McDermott manages 2-minute situations, the way that he manages, before the half and at the end of the half. You look at in the end of the game, you look at the first half, and again, Mahomes gets the ball with 12 seconds left, and they did not learn their lesson from last year. Now, they did learn their lesson to squib kick. That was totally cool. There's still 12 seconds left in the half, right? And for whatever reason, all you really have to do if you're Buffalo, and I was screaming at the TV during this game, all you got to do is play man press coverage on the outside. I mean, that's all you got to do. I mean, you think Belichick's going to play 5-10 yards off when Mahomes is just going to throw quick to Kelsey over the middle and he's going to pick up 15 yards and they're going to kick a field goal? Like, all you got to do is hold up the receivers for a couple seconds for that play to just, develop a bit longer. And they allow these easy completions for Mahomes. And it's just like, you didn't learn from last year. Like, it's absolutely brutal, that coaching, just that little coaching there at the end of the half. And then at the end of the game, I really thought like the Bills blew it at the end of the game. They went down the field and they scored a touchdown to go up. But there was still way too much time left on the clock at the end of the game. They're down 20-17. They go down the field, they score. There was no, inclination from Buffalo's point of view. There was no clock management from Josh Allen, which is partly his fault. There's no clock management from Sean McDermott in that situation. I felt like they gave Mahomes way too much time. They kind of were playing in hurry-up mode. They're running out of bounds. Josh Allen's running out of bounds. Stephon Diggs runs out of bounds. Like, you should be trying to win the game on this drive, right? You should be trying to go 4 downs to win this game. This drive, 4 downs, you win the game on this drive. And I just felt like if this game gets replayed and you give Mahomes the ball on the last drive of the game, he's down 4. What are the chances that the Chiefs win the game in that spot, in that situation? What are the chances that happens? So for me, I look at that and I say, Buffalo played their best. Buffalo did not play their best game. Buffalo mismanaged situations. Buffalo gave the Chiefs chances. Buffalo put it on a silver platter, and the Bills still won the game. But the Bills need to fix those things. They should look at that tape and say, we shouldn't give Mahomes that much time at the end of the game to win the game. I mean, we really shouldn't. If that's any great quarterback, you don't want him to have that much time. You try to win the game on that drive. That's just my opinion on that. There was a nice 4th and inches call earlier in the game by McDermott to go for it in his own end. And there's something common going on in the NFL right now where they treat those 4th and 1 situations like a rugby scrum, like the Eagles did it as well. They just push the quarterback through for the first down. Everyone keeps doing that. I would do that all the time. If I had a 4th and 1, 3rd and 1, I would do that every time until the ref calls a penalty on it. But seemingly that isn't a penalty anymore. So, whatever. But I look at the Chiefs and I say, I mostly liked how, I can't remember his name for some reason. I can't remember his name. Why can't I remember his name? The defensive coordinator, Spags. Spagnuolo. I liked his game plan for the most part. I liked how aggressive he was in certain situations. There was one situation, I want to say it was the end of the first half, and he blitzed in a really bad situation. There was 20 seconds left, 30 seconds left in the half. And really, if they just play off coverage, and they don't blitz there, instead they blitz, they leave their rookie corner on an island with Gabe Davis, I want to say, or Stephon Diggs, one of those guys, and Allen hits it on a just one-on-one go ball down the right sideline. They connect on a touchdown because Spags blitzed there. I thought there was a lot of great, stops caused by the Chiefs trying to go for it and causing some pressure on Allen and keeping him off balance and that sort of stuff. I thought Spags did a good job there, but those moments of when they got their opportunity, Allen did, for that go ball down the right sideline versus that rookie corner that's outmatched by Gabe Davis and Stephon Diggs. Allen made the throw. Those receivers made the plays. That was a big difference between the Chiefs and the Bills in this game. the Chiefs didn't really capitalize on those opportunities. They did capitalize. Juju capitalized on that one play where it was a scramble drill and he broke a tackle and he ran for a touchdown. Other than that, the Chiefs weren't unable to capitalize on those plays. I would also say that, man, I know that it's like a crime, like you go to jail to, the analytical people say you go to jail if you blitz Mahomes or whatever, or you blitz Josh Allen. But there were plays where you gotta be aggressive. When you're playing these great quarterbacks, you can't just sit back. You can't play the same coverage defense. You can't rush 4 every play. You can't rush 3 every play. You gotta be mixing it up. You've gotta blitz sometimes. You gotta play coverage sometimes. You gotta rush 3 sometimes. You gotta rush 4 sometimes. You gotta keep them on edge. You gotta have them guessing. You gotta, like who's coming, who's going. And I thought both defensive coordinators did a great job. I thought the wrinkle from the Bills to have like a 3-man rush with a spy as well at times on Mahomes was a really good call. There was one in particular on 3rd down, I want to say, where Milano, sprinted after Mahomes, caused a bad throw. There was some timely blitzes by the linebackers, Milano and Edmonds, to get through on Mahomes. And I especially think without Tyreek Hill for the Chiefs, there's more opportunity now than there was in previous years to blitz them and get away with it more so now, because you got to go for it. If they make a couple plays, they make a couple plays, but you got to get stops. You got to generate some turnovers against these quarterbacks. They're too good now. They're too smart now. They're too experienced now. When they were younger, you could sit back and cover 2 shell and force them to pick you apart underneath, and they wouldn't do it. Now you've got to keep them off balance. You've got to be willing to blitz. You've got to be willing to be aggressive and take it to the quarterback. And I think far too often, some of these defensive coordinators are just too scared to try to be aggressive against these offenses. We saw that with the Bucs earlier this year. A guy that loves to blitz in Todd Bowles refused to because the analytics, the people say don't blitz Mahomes. And I just think, like, who cares if you give up a couple big plays? They're going to happen, They're going to happen. So that's what I think. Going over some individual performances, Juju, I thought, had a really good game for the Chiefs. He made a number of nice plays. Devin Singletary was a big difference between the running games in this game. The Chiefs didn't really have much of a running game. The Bills did. They averaged about 5 a carry thanks to Devin Singletary and the running game and the offensive line. They were much more balanced in the game, which also led them to the victory. Von Miller, that signing was huge for that football team. Getting him in this game, it was just evident in the big moments in the 4th quarter, the plays that he made to trip up Mahomes on a big play, to sack him, to pressure him for the interception. Huge, right? And then Charvarius Ward not being there, not re-signing with the Chiefs. That allowed Stephon Diggs, who struggled with Charvarius Ward in those big AFC divisional and championship games, that caused him to have a much better game than he's ever had against the Chiefs, right? Charvarius Ward now on the 49ers, right? And the Chiefs secondary a bit thin there at cornerback and not as good in those man press situations. So those were some big takeaways for me from an individual standpoint. I think the Bills are the best team in football. I think they proved that on Sunday. I think they played a B game and they still were able to win. And that's impressive to me against what many believe is the second best team in their conference. So congratulations to the Bills for that big win. And that might end up giving them the home field advantage when it's all said and done. Okay, let's move on from the big game to the biggest game. I'm talking about the New England Patriots and the Cleveland Brownies, the Doo-Doo Browns. The Patriots absolutely pancaked the Browns. They bullied the Browns. 38-15. The Patriots win. And I was on here last week saying the Patriots are good. You know what? Scratch that. The Patriots aren't just good. The Patriots are very good. The Patriots are not just coming. They are here. This New England Patriots team right now is, without a doubt in my mind, in this NFL, a top 10 team in the NFL. You could make an argument the Patriots right now, the way they are playing, they are the 3rd best team in the AFC right now. The way they are playing over the last 3 games. The Patriots are legit. The Patriots, I think, are really turning the corner. When you look at this football team right now, guys, 2 dominant wins in a row. The game they lost against the Packers looks like a game now where if they have never mind Mac Jones, if they have Bailey Zappi prepared to play in the game, they win. Remember, that's Bailey Zappi, a rookie 4th round pick, first ever experience in the NFL, in one of the most hostile environments in the NFL, playing Aaron Rodgers. That game goes to overtime. He has no preparation for the game, no reps in practice, no game plan, none, right? They lose by a field goal. Then the last 2 weeks, shut out the highest scoring team in the NFL, the Detroit Lions, 29-0, thoroughly dominate them for 6 stops on 4th down, 0 for 6 on 4th down. The week after that, they thoroughly dominate the Cleveland Browns. And they didn't just dominate the Cleveland Browns. They dominated them in the areas where the Browns are really good, right? The Browns have been able to run on everybody this year. The Browns did not run on the Patriots in this game. They could not get Nick Chubb going. That forced Jacoby Brissett to make some bad throws. He got picked off on the first throw of the game by Kyle Duggar, who legit is a top 10, if not top 5 safety in the NFL. Kyle Duggar is a special player, man. Side note, right? Kyle Duggar, this guy can play every spot a safety can play. This guy can play in the box. This guy can play linebacker. This guy can play nickel corner. This guy mans up tight ends. He was covering David Njoku, one of the best tight ends this year so far. I mean, David Njoku is very good. And, I mean, Duggar was all over him. And Duggar's in the run game. He's a missile in the run game. Duggar's legit, man. This guy's top 10. Their secondary is playing unbelievable right now. Jack Jones might be Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's the number 1 rated rookie in all of football, according to Pro Football Focus right now. Shut down Amari Cooper in this game. Jonathan Jones didn't even play, who's a top 10 corner according to PFF this year. They've got 2 top 10 corners right now. Jalen Mills, I didn't even talk about him, playing great. Devin McCourty's still there. Adrian Phillips still there. Their pass rush is playing phenomenal. Matt Judon. And their pass rush didn't really dominate this game against a very, very good offensive line. Their coverage was just so thoroughly dominant all day long. They forced bad throws. They forced tight window throws. Jacoby made some nice throws in this game. Amari Cooper made some nice catches in this game. Some really nice highlight reel plays. And that was the only offense they had in the game. This defense is playing shutdown. The offense is running the football better than anybody. Ramondre Stevenson is dominating. And that play action, that play calling, Matt Patricia deserves a raise, ladies and gentlemen. Matt Patricia, with this rookie quarterback, is scheming up people wide open. Wide open, Jacoby Myers. Big plays to Devontae Parker, getting his rookie receiver involved on reverses. Tyquan Thornton looks special in the open field with, he has an extra gear. There was one play, he scores a touchdown on a reverse. It looked like everybody was in slow motion, he was running so fast. Jonnu Smith's getting the ball. Hunter Henry's getting the ball. They're dominating their individual matchups. Jacoby Myers right now is like 6th in yards per game of all receivers. This guy's playing like a legit number 1 option. And now all of a sudden, this team looks like they have weapons. A special running back in Ramondre Stevenson. 2 tight ends that can do something. Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. 3 receivers, 4 receivers, right? Nelson Aguilar didn't play in the game. Kendrick Bourne got hurt. Doesn't matter. We got 3 more. Devontae Parker, the jump ball specialist. Tyquan Thornton, the speedster. And then you've got Jacoby, who just can't be covered right now. He just can't be covered. And Bailey Zappi, the rookie, you got to give him credit. Great poise, great confidence, great composure. The guy's great in the pocket, moving. He's just... everything I like about Mac, I like about Zappi. Very similar players, man. They've got very similar strengths. They're smart. They don't, they read defenses well. They've got great anticipation, great accuracy. I think Mac's a more talented guy. I think Mac's ultimately better. But, Zappi is the perfect backup, and he's playing in this system superbly. He's playing as good as he can play. And, man, I said it on the broadcast when I was doing commentary. There's guys open left and right, and that's because of the game plan. That's because of the scheme. That's maybe a little bit to do with the Browns defense, but I think these playmakers, these receivers, these weapons are playing better. I think the scheme, they found a formula that works. The run game, the play action, the big shot plays that they're benefiting from. This is an explosive offense right now, something that they were not last year. And it was with Mac Jones in that Ravens game, and we've seen it refine each and every week. That's what makes me believe that the Patriots are not just a playoff team this year, but actually legit. I mean, the Patriots have gone from an offense where they were productive, they were efficient last year, but they've turned into not just an efficient offense from last year that was kind of underrated, but they've turned into an explosive offense. When you look at the yards per completion, the yards per attempt, the big plays that they're making, the run plays that they're making, the big explosive plays, they're all there right now. And I think that's thanks to the new design of this offense that's really looking great. And Bill Belichick has really been proven genius right now, especially by his draft that he had, that everybody was saying was a C draft, a C- draft. Cole Strange looks like a great all-rookie player right now. Left guard starter, day one, has been flawless, perfect. Tyquan Thornton looks great. Jack Jones looks defensive rookie of the year. Marcus Jones had an interception in the game that didn't stand, but it was an interception looking at the highlight on Twitter. Marcus Jones looks good as a returner. I mean, these guys, they had a great draft. They had a great draft. I was critical of some of the picks. I was critical of picking a guard in the first round, absolutely. But I mean, he's been proven right. These guys can play. This is one of the best drafts they've had. They've had 2 good drafts in a row, in my opinion, the Patriots have. Now, all of a sudden, Belichick's turning that around. And when you look at the NFL right now, with all the bad coaching there is, with all the bad teams, with all the inconsistency, I mean, the Patriots don't really have any flaws. I mean, they don't have any flaws. They might not be super awesome in any area necessarily, although it looks like they're getting there in the running game. They probably are there in the running game. They are there. In the secondary, they're getting there, but like, they don't have a single spot on their team where you could be like, this is weak. You know, I thought it was run defense, but then they went and faced Nick Chubb, and they shut down Nick Chubb. So I can't really point at that. I can't really say it's the linebackers. I can't say it's, they can't cover tight ends. They're phenomenal at that. I can't say they can't cover shifty receivers. They can do that. They can't cover big receivers. They can do that. I mean, I don't really know what it is. I don't know what their weakness is. Maybe Isaiah Wynn taking too many penalties. He gets pulled. Marcus Cannon goes in there, won a couple Super Bowls. Put him in there. It doesn't matter. They can throw to tight ends. They can throw to receivers. They can run it. I mean, there's no real weakness with this team right now, and they've got their backup quarterback in there. I think a lot of people are wondering about Zappe fever. You know, is Bailey Zappe going to be the guy? Ultimately, I think Zappe's playing phenomenal. I think he's playing great. I think he's playing better than I ever expected him to. But when I look at this game, guys, and why I project long-term the Patriots are going to be a good team in the mix in this AFC, is I see Mac Jones coming back. I see him benefiting from all the things that Zappe has benefited from. The Patriots have found their formula, the running game, the protection, the offensive line, the play action. And Mac Jones was playing really good football. You know, in that Ravens game, yes, he had some turnovers, but he was making more plays than he ever made. Remember, go back to my review of that game. Mac Jones was scrambling around, extending plays. Mac Jones was running for first downs. Mac Jones was running outside the pocket, you know, hitting guys on the move. Mac Jones was doing things we never seen him do before. You couple that with great defense. You couple that with a great running game, good protection, better receivers from last year. This guy had a great rookie season. You put him out there right now. I think this team's really, really good. Like, I really do in this NFL. So, I think Zappe's fine. I think, you know, if they're going to roll with him against Chicago, they should easily win. There's no question. I just wonder, like, when we play, if this team is as good as I think they can be, when we play Kansas City, which we don't in the regular season, but if we do in the playoffs, or if we play Cincinnati later in the year, or we play even like Indianapolis, I think we need like Mac Jones just to make those extra plays. I think Zappe's been very good at producing within the offense and what it's given him, and we've played some bad defenses, but I think once Mac's back, he'll take that over the top. So I mean, Matt Patricia needs an extension, guys. That's all I'm going to say. The Patriots are for real. Watch out for them. I'm loving what I'm seeing with my team right now. I'm absolutely pumped. Let's talk about another team that looks really, really good. That's the Philadelphia Eagles. Sunday Night Football, Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys. Philadelphia is like one of the best second quarter teams I've ever seen in my life. This team has more points in the second quarter than some teams have in their entire season overall. Definitely the Denver Broncos, no question about that. The Philadelphia Eagles, man, I think they played great, but there were some inconsistencies in the game. I felt like they kind of let the Cowboys back in, which definitely does concern me because they continuously get up on teams, they continuously get leads on teams, and then they let them back in the game. They have this phenomenal second quarter, they jump out to a huge lead, they're thoroughly dominant, and then they just let teams come back. But then what I will say is the Eagles did finish in that game against the Cowboys. Fourth quarter, they have the ball for, I think, 11 minutes. They gain 8 first downs in the fourth quarter. That's impressive football, and they finish the game strong. That is good. Okay, but the Eagles are the best team in the NFC in my opinion right now, and there's no question about it. There's no debate, right? As much as I want to say the Bucs are going to get there, I mean, they just lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, are you kidding me? So you look at the Philadelphia Eagles right now, the way their defense is playing is what's impressing me the most. Their defense won that game against the Dallas Cowboys. As good as their offensive explosion was in the second quarter, their offense was fairly inconsistent in the game. We still see the flaws of the Eagles when they try to be too pass happy. They get away from the running game, they start to slow down, they start to struggle, they start to lose their identity. That happens far too often. Run the damn football, okay? Because you're good at it. You're the best at it in the league when it comes to that quarterback, running back, running game. Like, you gotta do it. You gotta stick to your identity. Just crush teams. When you're up on teams, you should be able to run the football even more. Just keep doing it until they stop it, right? Don't try to get into this pass-happy football team. You're not that, right? Jalen Hurts, he's not Aaron Rodgers, right? Just work what works. Just do your thing. Run the football. Work with this offensive line and allow your defense to get after it. And the defense played great. I thought the defense was the reason they won. They had multiple turnovers in the game. They dominated the game. And the crazy thing is, the Eagles dominated the game, guys, without a single sack, without a single tackle for loss. There was not a single negative play by the Dallas Cowboys in the game that was not a penalty, which, by the way, the penalties were very, very much on the side of the Philadelphia Eagles. There were a lot of penalties on the Cowboys and not a lot on the Eagles. Maybe that had something to do with the home field advantage, but there was not a single negative play by the Cowboys offense, but the Eagles still shut them down, which is very, very impressive to me. But can we quit with the Cooper Rush stuff now? I mean, Cooper Rush was nice. He was a nice story, whatever. Like, I've been telling you guys, Cooper Rush has not really been the reason the Cowboys are winning. Cowboys are winning because of their defense. The Cowboys are protecting Cooper Rush. They're running the football with Tony Pollard and Zeke, and they couldn't get anything going early in the game. The only reason they got anything going early in the game against the Rams is because their defense caused a strip sack fumble for a touchdown, and they blocked a punt. Like, that's why they were up 9-0 in that game, and then they could coast offensively the rest of the game. In this game, their defense wasn't quite as good, right? The Eagles were able to get after that weakness that they do have, and that's what's challenging for Dallas moving forward when they play this team. The Eagles are physical. The Eagles are big. The Eagles are really good at the line of scrimmage, and Dallas struggles with that. Even on defense, they struggle with that running game of the Eagles. That is what we saw in this matchup going into the game. That's why I picked the Eagles. That's why a lot of people pick the Eagles to cover, because that running game is so powerful, and it's tough to run on the Eagles up in the middle of the field because they've got those big mother effers in the middle of the field to stop the run. So you look at the Eagles on the line of scrimmage, they're just tough, man. But I look at the Cowboys and I say, like, once they get Dak Prescott back, it's hard not to argue they're the second or third best team in the NFC. You could argue that those are the two best NFC teams. You could argue that if Dak Prescott plays in that game, he probably takes better care of the football. He keeps his team in the game because of it. There's not as many short fields for the Eagles, and the Cowboys might even come back in the game fully and win. Like, the Cowboys had an opportunity to come right back in the game. I think they were down by 4 at one point. I think it was 21-17, if I'm not mistaken, something of that score. And I think the Cowboys are good. There was one bad spot with McCarthy where there was a bad spot on CeeDee Lamb that kind of cost the Cowboys, but McCarthy decides to hurry up to the line of scrimmage and they go for it. They don't get it. Instead of just waiting and challenging the spot, which they probably would have won that challenge. So next time you can learn from that. Hopefully take your time, review that spot if it's any iffy at all, right? I think Dan Quinn continues to impress me. First half, right? Kind of some trouble with the run game. Second half, they make their adjustments. They get their team back in it defensively. Part of it was the Eagles playing towards the Cowboys' strength, starting to pass the ball more, like I mentioned. But Dan Quinn continues to be one of the best, if not the best defensive coordinator in football that's not an actual head coach. You know, Dan Quinn has been phenomenal this year, and he made some great adjustments at halftime. What else do I got to say about this team and this game? Now, the Eagles, I think, part of their success in the first half is that they're such a different team to play, right? The Cowboys hadn't seen them all year. There is some things that catch you off guard with the Eagles, with what they do with all their quarterback run stuff and all the option stuff, and they really had a plan to attack Parsons a lot of the time with their read option game to make Parsons the read guy so that he was guessing wrong every play. They mixed in that little wide receiver, throw out of the flat. That really helped them. They spammed that play a couple times. I think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC right now. They project so forward. They're probably going to win this conference in terms of they're going to get the number 1 seed. They're probably going to get the bye. I do think there's flaws with this team when it comes to their passing game. I think if any team is able to make the Eagles offense a drop back passing team, I don't think they're that good. And that's where I get scared, because two teams in particular in the NFC, if the Eagles face the Bucs or the Niners, I think those are tough matchups for them. The Cowboys are actually a good matchup for them. But I would say with Dak, it would be a lot tougher, right? The Cowboys, I think, match up better with those other teams. So the NFC is interesting. Obviously, it's only week 6. But the Eagles project for me as the number 1 seed in the NFC. Cowboys should be the top wild card in the NFC. And I think these are the 2 top teams in the NFC right now from what I've seen through the first 5 games. Might change as the rest of the season goes on, but I think these are the top 2 teams in the NFC right now, the way they're playing. Next, it's time to talk about Kyler Murray, man. It's time to talk about this guy absolutely robbing the Arizona Cardinals of money. I mean, this guy had the heist of the century. I mean, robbed the Arizona Cardinals. Like, let me just put it this way. I don't care who your coach is. I don't care if we think Cliff Kingsbury sucks, which, by the way, Cliff Kingsbury absolutely blows. He's terrible. He's awful, okay? But it's time to talk about Kyler Murray. You're playing the Seattle Seahawks. You're playing the Seattle Seahawks defense. This defense is putrid, terrible, absolutely dreadful. You score 9 points? Kyler, 9 points. You're skipping the football to your wide receivers. You're getting sacked 6 times. I mean, I thought you were the road runner. You're supposed to run away from pressure, not into it. I get it. Cliff Kingsbury's terrible. He should be fired. But Kyler Murray, you're getting paid all this money to overcome. That's what elite quarterbacks do. That's what great quarterbacks do. Great quarterbacks overcome. Great quarterbacks are able to make the flaws of their football team appear less so. Kyler Murray is not overcoming. He's underachieving. Kyler Murray put up 9 points. 9 fucking points against the Seattle Seahawks defense. The Seattle Seahawks defense. That defense is terrible. Again, I don't care who your offensive line is. I don't care who your receivers are. Your contract indicates that you are better than this. You should be better than this. You are paid like it. So be better, or else I'll criticize you, because The criticism should be there. 4.4 yards per play, Kyler Murray. I mean, it's terrible. Terrible. Cliff Kingsbury, I don't know why he wasn't fired yesterday. Kyler Murray needs to look himself in the mirror. He's blaming everybody but himself. The guy is playing like doggy doo-doo. He put up 9 points against the Seahawks, guys. Come on, man. Okay, let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons and the San Francisco 49ers. No real theme to this discussion. I just took a lot of notes when it came to the game because I was intrigued to see what happened. Obviously, I knew Atlanta was going to be feisty in this one. I liked Atlanta +6. I gave that out on Patreon as a bet. So if you're a patron, you would have won some money with that +6 for the Atlanta Falcons. They actually win the game outright by double digits, 28-14, right? I think my main takeaway from the game is Atlanta benefited from playing a San Francisco team that is extremely injured on defense, especially. They're injured on offense as well, but injured on defense especially. And it was evident from snap one of the game. I mean, I just never seen San Francisco get pushed around on defense the way they were in this game. From a run standpoint, from a pass protection standpoint, San Francisco was not nearly as disruptive as they typically are. We saw that lack of burst, that lack of pop, that lack of energy that made the San Francisco defense the best defense in football. Right? They lose Tarvarius Ward in the game. I think Hufanga, who's been phenomenal, left the game in concussion protocol. Their defensive line was decimated. They didn't have any of their 4 starters. Nick Bosa's hurt, right? Emmanuel Mosley out for the year at cornerback. Al Shire, I believe, at linebacker hurt. They didn't have Armstead. They didn't have Kinlaw. They didn't have Bosa. I mean, they didn't have a ton of players. They didn't have 8 out of 11 starters on defense. It was evident from snap one that the Atlanta Falcons were going to be able to do what they want on offense. And they were able to in spurts, right? They had a couple spurts in the first and the second half. They scored 14, on their first couple of drives. And then later, they stall out for a while. San Francisco's playing solid D. And San Francisco surges back. They make it interesting. And then Atlanta's able to close. But this game was a lot closer, I felt like, than the score indicated. I felt like San Francisco's offense played better than 14 points in the game. I will say Atlanta's defense deserves a lot of credit. I think they look better out there with Isaiah Oliver on the field at nickelback or at cornerback. I think he looked better in the game. He coming back from injury. I got to say, though, Arthur Smith, man, great coach. Arthur Smith's one of the coaches of the year for me. I said that at the top. Guy's been phenomenal. Marcus Mariota continues to make plays with his legs. The biggest play of the game for me was a scramble on 3rd and 13. The game was tied 14-14. Mariota scrambles for 13 yards on 3rd down. That's not easy to do. San Francisco's playing man coverage across the board. Mariota sees it, takes off, and gets the first down. That was the play of the game for me. The score was 21-14 at halftime. This was a relatively close game. And I just felt like it was easy to see that the level of disruption, the level of push in the run game, in the pass game was not there for San Francisco. And it was because of all the injuries they had. They had so many injuries. And I think this is a very good football team when they're healthy. I do think Atlanta, though, is a wild card potential team. I was saying this to the guys last night on the stream for Sunday Night Football, exclusive stream for Sunday Night Football. And I was saying Atlanta could be a wild card team in the NFC. The NFC is not very good. The Rams look very, very fragile. The Packers look like a team that's struggling. And even Tampa Bay looks struggling. Now, I think Tampa will make it. I think Dallas will make it. I think the Eagles will make it. The Giants are 5-1. The Vikings are 5-1. But Atlanta, when you look at that mix, they're well coached. They have a good game plan every week. They fight hard, especially on defense. They play with physicality. They don't make a lot of mistakes. Atlanta could fight for a wild card spot. I don't think that's crazy to say at all. Now, I will say, with the 49ers, there's some positives to take away from this game. Obviously you had all the injuries. That affected your defense, but they still played with some fight. 14-point deficit for the first time all season, first of all, is a pretty good stat just to indicate how competitive the Niners have been in every game this year. Ayuk, Debo, and Kittle all had strong games, which I think is the first time all season that happened. And Kittle played good, his best game of the year. Debo made some plays. Ayuk had his best game of the season, 2 touchdowns in the game. I think that's the silver lining. When you look at Jimmy G and how he played, I thought once he got into must-pass situations, I thought he was actually throwing the football very well. He's obviously not an elite quarterback, but I thought he throws the football right now down the field, especially as good as he's ever thrown it. He hit Ray McCloud on a deep ball where he drops it. That was a game-changing play potentially. There was another drop right down the seam to Dwelly, I believe it was, on a 2nd and 5. Another drop right on the money. I think Garoppolo made a couple nice throws down the stretch to keep his team in it, to extend drives. So I actually thought Jimmy G was not really the reason they lost. I think that's the first area where people will point at, usually when the Niners lose. But mostly, guys, I think it just had to do with the fact that Atlanta possessed the ball. Atlanta made more big, crucial plays. And Atlanta took advantage of those injuries on defense and was able to do what they wanted on offense the way they want to play, which is run the football. Don't have a lot of attempts through the passing game, but be high efficient when you do pass the football. Have some trickery, make a couple plays on defense. And that's really what it was. I mean, what else do I got on my notes? I'm not discouraged by the loss for San Francisco, but I am encouraged by the win by Atlanta. Those are kind of 2 takeaways that I have here. And there was one play, I will say, where Jimmy did miss a touchdown, potentially to George Kittle on a broken play where he's scrambling to the right. Could have maybe had a big play for a touchdown there. Other than that, I thought Jimmy actually played pretty good. So I'm liking what I'm seeing. And I think next week, a lot of people are saying the Chiefs are going to destroy the Niners. I don't really think so. If the Niners get a couple pieces back on defense, like if Nick Bosa might come back, Trent Williams might come back, that might be enough to make that one interesting. I think the Niners defensively match up fairly well with the Chiefs. And then offensively, I think they'll be able to run the ball a bit on the Chiefs. The Chiefs have been struggling there. And then I like what I saw in the passing game in this one as well. And the Chiefs aren't really better in the secondary than Atlanta is. So, I don't know. I think that game will be really good, especially in San Francisco. So I'm looking forward to that game. That will probably be a stream this week, so look out for that one. But that should be a good game. Obviously, a big game. If you guys are enjoying this stream so far, don't forget to spike the like button. Thank you guys for staying up late with me. We've got the Minnesota Vikings and the Miami Dolphins, another game that I felt like I wanted to go back. I wanted to see and how that game unfolded because I was watching the score the whole time doing the stream for the Patriots game, and I had the second screen on the Bucs game for a majority of the time, so I didn't really know what was going on. The game was 10-6 or 10-3 for a lot of the game. The game was 10-3 by the end of the third quarter. It was 10-3 Minnesota for 90% of this game. It was really weird. But you look at this game and just look at the box score. I mean, Minnesota wins the game. They had 15 drives in the game, right? 13 of those drives went for 3 plays or less, guys. So that means they had 13 drives that were 3 and outs or just big explosive plays on offense. That's crazy. They won the game like that. They had 10 penalties in the game. Okay? Right? Missed a field goal. 10 penalties for the Dolphins in the game. They missed a field goal. The Dolphins missed a field goal. They were bad on third down. Minnesota was. I think they were 1 for 11, something like that. Miami was sacked 6 times in the game. And these are some of my main takeaways. Minnesota won an ugly game. Minnesota with an offensive coach. They were known for their offensive identity. And so far this year, they've mostly won their games due to their offense. They actually were able to win an ugly game, which typically I would not say is a good takeaway for a lot of teams, right? This kind of was a good takeaway for me. Like, this actually kind of increased my faith in the Vikings. Now, they did play a third-string quarterback for the first little bit, and then Teddy Bridgewater came in, which, by the way, Teddy Bridgewater is not much better than a third-string quarterback. He did not look very good, despite the box score. He did not look great. But Minnesota, defensively, they played pretty well in this game. 6 sacks, a lot of pressure, continuously in the backfield. Miami does have some issues on the offensive line. They're, of course, missing Armstead. Who would have thunk that he would miss games this year? I mean, I only told you guys that he'd probably miss 8 games this year. But, hey, that's just me. So, what do I know, right? What do I know? The Minnesota had 6 sacks, dominated the line of scrimmage. Mostert, the running game of Miami, couldn't really do anything. Minnesota has been fairly solid against the run all year, but I thought they had a number of plays that were negative plays. They did cause a turnover. Patrick Peterson had an interception in the game. They did cause a forced fumble in the game. Harrison Smith punched out the ball from Jalen Waddle. So they made some big plays on defense, right? Some big game-changing plays. Some sacks, some forced fumbles, some interceptions. And their defense really won them this game. And that, to me, is nice to see. Right? They weren't diced up in the passing game. Bridgewater did hit some big plays to Tyreek Hill, which is to be expected. But other than Tyreek Hill, Miami couldn't really do anything on offense the whole game. All right? And Miami continuously is kind of shooting themselves in the foot. Missing some field goals every game, playing poorly on the offensive line, turning the ball over. Like, they're playing the opposite of how they've played through the first 3 weeks, in the last 3 weeks. And the biggest story for me for Miami is that they failed to adjust to a post-Tua offense. And why I think that is, I think Mike McDaniel is a good offensive coach, and he showed that in the first 3 games. I do think that Tua is better than Teddy, and I do think that Tua is certainly better than their third-string quarterback. But the system was so predicated on Tua's skill set early in the year that I just feel like so much of their energy, so much of their manpower, so much of Mike McDaniel's game plans and formulating of this offense has gone into making Tua good. Like making that investment look great, right? And I think that is like what's hurting them right now, because you do not see the Dolphins run the same offense with Bridgewater that they run with Tua. They don't run all the screens. They don't run all the RPOs. Tua's very good at that stuff, the RPO stuff and the quick game stuff. But that to me just says like you're getting away from what made you successful. You're getting away from these yak plays that made you successful. And not only that, your offensive line is struggling when you're playing more of a drop back traditional game. You're not able to run the ball as well as you would like. You're making mistakes. You're missing field goals. Your defense is giving up big plays. Like, I think McDaniel, everyone was hyping up first 3 weeks. He's still a good coach. I think he's going to be a good coach for Miami, and give Tua credit, he's proven what he's worth for this football team, and I think that matters, and I think that means something. But I think there's a real thing to, like, they put so much into what this team would be with him and what this offense would be with him that they didn't think about what if he gets hurt. And they haven't been able to adjust. You look at the Patriots. Patriots have been able to adjust without Mac. They've been able to, in the first couple of games, they were really, really, really run heavy. Really, really run heavy. Really, really vanilla. Zappy Since then, they've added to it. They've added layers to it. Zappy's gotten better. He's gotten more comfortable. All that stuff. Gotten more confident. Okay, we can add some more things to it. We can add some more game plan plays. With Teddy and these guys, like, it's just not the same out there. And I wonder if that's going to derail their season a little bit. Now, when you look at the Vikings, I was really impressed with their front seven. I thought Zadarius Smith had a great game in this one. He was flying around, setting the edge, playing great run defense, sacking the quarterback. Dalvin Cook had a big explosive play. Their offense, though, sputters more than I would like. I thought Miami's defense played really, really well. You know, they did all that they could to win this game. They even had an injury at corner in this game, and they still were able to overcome that. So I'm not sure what to do with Miami. I'm just not sure what to do with Miami. I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt because they don't have Tua right now, who is their starting quarterback, who is their guy. So perhaps they get back to their success of early in the year. But I do feel like that's been a little bit derailed, and they've kind of lost what made them successful early in the year, and they've just been a sloppy football team recently. And their injuries have started to impact them in the secondary and on defense, and we've seen that in games as well. So I think Minnesota has proven to put themselves in that top 10 conversation with how their defense is improving, and they won a defensive tight football game, an ugly football game here, but I'm still not willing to give up on Miami as a potential playoff team just because I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt once they get their guy back at quarterback. Okay, moving to the next game. We've got Jacksonville and we've got Indianapolis. Main takeaway from this game is there's signs of life from Indy. So Indy really needed this win. They got embarrassed by Jacksonville last time they played them, 24-0 in Jacksonville. They've really struggled to beat Jacksonville. They needed to even this up if they want to win this division. They do so. They win this game, and there was signs of life. And my main takeaways from the game are Indianapolis, Frank Reich showed why I believe in him as a coach, right? I've been questioning him this season, but I've been a big fan of Frank Reich throughout his Indianapolis tenure. A lot of Colts fans wanted him gone early this year. A lot of Colts fans have wanted him gone, right? They've wanted him fired, but I thought Frank Reich showed why he's a good coach. He fixed a lot of the problems with the offense this week. Most importantly, the offensive line for Indianapolis played their best game of the year. This was the cleanest Matt Ryan has been all season, right? Matt Ryan was able to sit back. He did not get hit as much. He was able to deliver the football on the money. And Matt Ryan at this stage of his career cannot deal with muddy pockets, moving and trying to set his feet in the pocket. He's not throwing off angle, bad angle throws, right? He's not trying to do that. He's trying to sit in the pocket and get quick throws. And I thought Reich did a really good job of making him comfortable. I gotta say, this Jackson kid, the running back for Indianapolis, I don't care who's the running back for Indianapolis, if it's Marshall Faulk, if it's Edgerrin James, who it is, Jonathan Taylor, it doesn't matter who it is for Indianapolis. This Jackson kid needs to be in the mix. He needs to get work. He needs to be in the mix of that backfield. He's explosive. He's a difference maker. And the other element of Indianapolis offense is that I was impressed with. They're starting to figure out who they can rely on, like who their game breakers are, who their game changers are, and they're trying to identify those roles, right? Alec Pierce is kind of that rookie receiver that they drafted, has transformed into that downfield threat, the one-on-one jump ball, go ball guy, right? The deep worker of the field, the stretch the field receiver. Michael Pittman has kind of turned into the short, intermediate, yards after catch, designed play guy. Like, we're going to put him in position to get targets. Matt Ryan's going to hit him on a little in route for 5 yards. He's going to turn it into 12 yards. That's what Michael Pittman has become. Their tight ends mix in with big plays on third down, occasionally in play action, occasionally in the red zone. And then we've got Paris Campbell running some screens. He's kind of that third element in the slot, right? He's got speed as well. So I like that the Colts have fixed that offensive line. They played their best game, their cleanest game. Matt Ryan benefited from that, playing his best game as a Colt. They're figuring out what Alec Pierce is. They're figuring out what Michael Pittman is. I still think this offense is pretty limited from a explosive standpoint. I don't think their running game will be as good as it was last year. I don't think their passing game is superb by any means, but they showed in this game that they have this in store. They have the capability of this if that offensive line can play at the level that they should be capable of with the talent they possess. Jacksonville just continues to prove that they're an inconsistent young football team, and they disappointed me in this game. They gave up a big lead a couple times in this game. Now, the big deal that I'm making of Jacksonville is Travis Etienne. That guy is special. I mean, that guy is explosive. Their running game is really, really good, and I thought they got away from that in this game far too much. I really like their running game. I really like their running backs. I mean, even JaMychal Hasty had like a huge touchdown in this game. But Travis Etienne, when he gets the ball, man, there are few running backs that are that explosive through the hole as this guy. Like every time he touches the football, boom, he's gone. I mean, that guy has such a weird body shape, but it doesn't seem to matter. He's so explosive, and he needs to get the football more. This guy needs to be the lead back of this team. And he's become that, but man, this guy is good. And Trevor Lawrence, he's such a love and hate for me. Like he has plays where he's really good and he's really like somewhat a robot. He goes through his reads, he makes the accurate throw. He almost looks like a worse version of Justin Herbert out there. And then there's other times where he just doesn't see the field well. His vision isn't great. He's not the smartest. He makes a bad decision. Like early in the game, I think it was the first drive of the game for Jacksonville, he like rolls into a sack. Like he spins like where you're not supposed to feel the pressure, right? When you feel the pressure from your edge, you're supposed to step up into the pocket. He rolls outside and just runs into a sack. Like, so Trevor Lawrence is just inconsistent for me with his decision-making, inconsistent with his vision of the field, inconsistent with his anticipation on throws. When it's there, it's there. When it's good, it's good. When it's not good, it's holding the offense back a bit. Defensively, they're just inconsistent. They had a bad game here. I'm not quite sure what happened. I've been really high on their defense. They couldn't generate any pressure in this game. I think that was first and foremost. And they were giving up too many explosive plays in the running game and yards after catch. But yeah, impressive win by Indianapolis. I think there's a lot of good takeaways there for the Colts. This was by far their best game offensively, best offensive line game, best Matt Ryan game, which makes me believe that this team, I think I shift them back to the top of this AFC South. I don't think this division's very good. I still don't think Indianapolis is a very good football team. But this division is there for the taking. And I think Indianapolis back to the top of my power rankings in this division based on this game. Jacksonville had all the chances in the world to win it, by the way. Next, the Packers and the Jets. So Packers fans want to know what's going on with Green Bay. What's going on with the Packers? Now, personally, if I had to boil it down to one thing that is absolutely destroying the Green Bay Packers this year, I think the one thing that the Packers need more of, they need more of Matt LaFleur pumping up the crowd. I think that's why they lost. When Matt LaFleur is not on the sidelines, when Matt LaFleur is not at Lambeau Field, getting those fans on their feet, waving his arms up in the air, not managing the game, not telling his defensive coordinator to get his head out of his rear end, not telling Aaron Rodgers what the next play is, not calling a downfield concept. The most important thing and the biggest missing ingredient for the Packers is that Matt LaFleur did not pump the crowd up enough. That is exactly why. No, I'm just kidding. That's not it. But for real, if Matt LaFleur pumps up the crowd one more time, I mean, how is this guy, again, I continue to say this every week. I sound like a broken record. This guy is the most overrated coach in the NFL. There's a reason his nickname is Matt LaFuck. Matt LaFleur, when are you going to change your offense? When are you going to evolve? When are you going to adapt? When are you going to learn that Matt, you don't have Davante Adams this year. Like, you can't just have Davante Adams to bail you out on third down. You can't just have Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams throw a back shoulder on 18 yards for a first down. I mean, it's atrocious. Like, the whole offense for the Packers is just gross to watch. They can't run the ball as well as they like. And part of the problem is that they don't create enough downfield plays through the passing game. They don't have enough shot plays. They don't have enough plays where Rodgers can throw, between that 12 to 20 range. Everything for me, especially in the middle of the field, there's nothing for me with the Packers offense that screams consistency in the drop back passing game or even in play action. I mean, their play action plays are just like play action to the back, then they like throw it to the flat to the tight end or the fullback. Like, it's so predictable. There's no second level throws from Aaron Rodgers from this offense. There's nothing there. There's nothing there at all. And that's part of the reason why these defenses are collapsing. They're playing in the box. And the Packers' go-to stuff on offense right now from a passing perspective is these RPOs, these bubble screens, or the throws to the flat to the running back. That is their stuff all day. Well, what happens there? When all you can do is run the ball and throw the ball at the line of scrimmage, you're going to see this entire defense collapse, play you with all these people in the box, and they're going to react. And if they've got speed, they can tackle you for a limited gain, and everything is going to be difficult for you when you don't have second level plays in your offense. And when your drop back passing game just does not have playmakers that can get open, and when your quarterback is just disgruntled and not enjoying any sort of chemistry with these wide receivers, and when your go-to big passing play is like a bomb down the field to a rookie receiver, it's just not it, guys. It's just not there. Like, the only explosive plays that the Packers get this year are one-on-one jump balls to Lazard or Romeo Doubs. Like, that's it. I mean, the Packers are just so bad on offense from a scheme perspective right now, and LaFleur is doing a terrible job adjusting to what they have on their team. Not only that, this defense is soft. They can't stop the run. I sound like a broken record, but it's the same problems. They don't care about special teams. They hired a new special teams coordinator. That's fantastic, but the coach doesn't care. He cares more about pumping up the crowd. I mean, the Jets won this game, guys. They didn't play that well. They were 1 for 11 on third down. Zach Wilson had 10 completions in the game. I mean, Zach Wilson had 110 yards, I think, something like that. Like, he did nothing. Like, I like Zach. It was a good win for him, especially over his idol Aaron Rodgers. He did nothing in the game. Breece Hall is a monster. Absolute monster. Absolute beast. Love watching Breece Hall. The defense is legit. The Jets got speed. They got physicality. They play with an edge. Sauce Gardner is different. That guy is special. And I really like the Jets moving forward. I think the biggest thing, people are underestimating the Jets' talent. I don't think their coaching is very good on either side, really. I think the Jets are extremely talented. Like, they've got really good players up front. Quinnen Williams is a star. John Franklin Myers is really good. Carl Lawson is really good. Whitehead, Sauce, who else? I mean, CJ Mosley on defense, then on offense, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Corey Davis, Braxton Berrios. I mean, Zach's got talent. Like, all these guys that they've picked, they've got talent, man. How many injuries have they had on the offensive line? Like, this is a really well-built, constructed team. Douglas has done a great job there. I have not been super impressed with their coaching, but they seemingly at least get their players going. They have their players motivated, and this team plays with an edge, and this team plays with physicality, and you got to give Robert Saleh something there. But the Packers, man, they're in trouble. They're in trouble. Their defense is not good. Their defense is easily picked apart from a run game perspective, ran over. And when you're not good against the run, it opens up everything else. It makes everything else easier. You allow the other team to dictate the pace of play. The other side of the ball, they got no explosiveness. I mean, it's just bad, man. The Packers are probably not a playoff team right now. It's not good. And like I said, I think the biggest thing for the Packers is they've got to find that second level on offense passing the football. Because it's not there right now, guys. It's not there. It's bad. Next, let's talk about the Giants and the Ravens. Like, my question is, how do the Giants keep doing it? How do the Giants keep winning? Brian Daboll and Wink Martindale should both collectively be the coaches of the year. With the talent they have on their football team to win this game, absolutely sensational. And I struggle to rank the Giants high in my power rankings because I look at this roster, I look at this depth chart, and I don't see a lot of talent. I don't see it at wide receiver. I don't really see it on the offensive line. I don't see it on defense. But seemingly every week this team plays physical. This team plays well at the line of scrimmage. They run the football with Saquon. And they're in the game every single time. They kick field goals when they're granted field goal opportunities, right? That's a big thing. That's a pet peeve. Kick the field goal early in the game. Take the points early in the game. Don't worry about going for it. Take the points, right? Defensively, they're really strong in the interior defensive line. They gave Lamar Jackson fits. They got pressure after Lamar. They made life difficult on Lamar. But I saw a lot of flaws with the Ravens in this game, man. I saw a lot of flaws with the Ravens. They don't have a receiver. I don't understand why the Ravens don't try to get a slot receiver. I mean, Lamar Jackson's one of the best intermediate, short, middle of the field throwers in football. They've got a great tight end in Mark Andrews, but they don't have like a nice receiving back, and they don't have a good slot receiver. Those are the two things you should have. If you're the Ravens, why do you not have your own version of like, Cooper Kupp's an extreme example, but a player like Cooper Kupp, maybe not as good, but a player like Cooper Kupp. You don't need like a Marquise Brown outside wide receiver. You don't need a Rashad Bateman first round pick outside wide receiver. You need a slot receiver, a quick shifty wide receiver who can get open for Lamar, who can move the chains, right? They don't have that. Now they're trying to work out Deshaun Jackson. Now they're trying to work out Devin Kennard. They're trying to get all these guys. They clearly don't like where their team is at. They clearly don't like where their roster is at. They're continuously letting games slip away. They let it slip away against Miami. They let it slip away against Buffalo. They let it slip away against the Giants. They're not finishing games. Justin Tucker finally missed a kick. He hit the bar from like 55 yards. I had to check it twice. I had to replay it just to make sure he missed. It's 12:54 left in the game. They lose. They're up 20-10. 12:54 left in the game, guys. 13 minutes left in the game. They're up by 10. They lose. And Harbaugh got out-coached. I mean, the Giants manufacture their entire offense. They run a ton of play action. They run a ton of screens. They use jet pass to their receivers. They use read option. Their only like straight up offense that they have in their offensive bag is running with Saquon, or just like when they're in 3rd and long and they have to throw it. Like, that's their only non-manufactured offense. Even like in the red zone, they ran like a pick play to Wan'Dale Robinson. That's coaching. That's not like some special play drawn up by the players. That's coaching. That's a designed play versus that defense to get that player open for that touchdown. That's Brian Daboll. That's what they're doing on offense right there. Like, and I love the way they're managing these games to make it close. They understand they're not a track meet team. They understand they're not a great team, but they're keeping their team in it. And they're winning it in the 4th quarter. Graham Gano is playing good. They've got some unsung heroes on this team. Jihad Ward, the edge player that they brought from Jacksonville and Baltimore. Zimenez, number 53. Moreau, who they picked up, a veteran signing at cornerback. Richie James at wide receiver. And you gotta wonder how much better this team would be if they actually figured out the Kadarius Toney conundrum for the wide receiver position. If they could get Kadarius Toney healthy and on this football field, how much more explosive would they be on offense? How much better would they be on offense to have that type of player that they could manufacture the football to? I mean, that would be interesting to watch. Dexter Lawrence is that elite player. He's developed into that elite player for this team. Like, I was trying to watch this game real hard and figure out, like, why are the Giants 5-1? Who are the players that stand out? Dexter Lawrence stands out. Dexter Lawrence is a monster. Saquon stands out. Their offensive line, the push they get in the run game, that does stand out to me. Daniel Jones deserves way more credit than he gets. He makes a couple plays in all of these comebacks that allows them to come back in the game. He makes life difficult on you from a defensive standpoint because he can run the football. He throws the football well. He never really loses the football, right? He's never really inaccurate. He never really makes bad throws, like from an accuracy standpoint. Every throw he makes, sometimes it's not the right decision, but he always puts it where it's supposed to be. Daniel Jones has always been better than people have thought. It's just he's never had good coaching. Now he does. And I'm not saying he's a great quarterback or anything, but he doesn't have much at wide receiver. He doesn't have much in pass protection. And this guy continuously is coming back in the 4th quarter. That says something about the quarterback right there. You know, this wasn't even a big Saquon game, but that guy brings such a threat to defenses that it opens up other things through play action. It opens up deep balls down the field. It opens up screen game and stuff like that. He takes so much attention from defenses. Baltimore, again, like, I see holes in this team. I think their defense is fine, but it's not great. I don't think it's as bad as it was early in the year. It's a bit better than that, but it's not great. They don't have a great pass rush. They've got to manufacture pressure. Their early down offense in this game was horrific. They couldn't run the ball very well. They couldn't throw the ball very well. The Giants were all over it. That was a big problem for the Ravens in this game, their early down offense. Kenyon Drake, I will say, went off in this game. He looked young. He looked like a young pup. He was popping big runs left and right in this game. He looked better than J.K. Dobbins to me. But ultimately, the game came down to this. I mean, 3:05 left in the game. 3rd and 6, right? 3rd and 6 for Baltimore. They've got the football. They're leading the game. There's a bad snap. And Lamar goes back. He picks up the football. And then he throws a panic interception. That sets up the Giants within the red zone to go with the game-winning lead and the touchdown. And then with 1:30 left in the game, forced fumble by rookie Kayvon Thibodeau for the win. That's what the game came down to. And the Giants just played it. They were right there the whole time. They were just waiting for that one mistake where Wink Martindale's defense just seems to come up with big plays situationally. And the Giants are that one team right now that they're not very good. They're not very talented, is what I should really say. But they make all the plays when they need to make the plays. They make their field goals. They convert on 4th down when they need to. They get that strip sack at the end of the game. They get that key interception. Saquon gets that big run, right? Daniel Jones gets that big run. it just feels like through these 6 games, they have always gotten those big plays when they've needed to get them. And the Ravens are the opposite, right? The Ravens should be the team that's 5-1, not the Giants. But the Ravens are not making those big plays, and the Giants are. And that's the end of story right there. End of story. Okay? So that's my takeaways from Ravens Giants. It's the main event. It's time to talk about the panic in Tampa Bay. If you guys have enjoyed this stream and this discussion, Gronk spiked the like button. Thanks for tuning in. Edwin with $2. Thank you, man. Thank you. And if you guys want to make sure your question is answered, super chat like Edwin just did. Thank you, Edwin, for the $2. Best average team to make a run: Jags, Browns, Giants. Oh my goodness. I don't think the Browns are going to make it there. Like, the Browns, when you look at their schedule, they have a really difficult schedule coming up. I'll actually do it. Just because you super chatted, Edwin, I'll actually look at their schedule for you and tell you why the Browns are not going to have a chance to make a run. Okay? So, the schedule for the Browns coming up, they're 2-4, by the way. They're 3rd in their division. They play at Baltimore versus Cincinnati. They have a bye week in week 9. After the bye week, they play in Miami. They play in Buffalo. Then they play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that's with Jacoby Brissett. They play, again, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Bucs. They might not win any of those games. So the Browns are not the team. The Jags. I could see the Jags still bouncing back and winning their division because they're a young football team, hopefully learning from their mistakes. They do have talent. I could see the Jags, but the way they're losing these games, it's just frustrating. The Giants are the opposite. The Jags have more talent than the Giants, but the Giants just play hard. The Giants are feisty. The Giants stay in games. The Giants maybe have gotten a bit lucky, but the Giants have very good coaching. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think the Giants are going to make the playoffs. I don't know if the Jags are. So I think I got to lean towards the Giants, but the Jags feel like the team where if they can bounce back here quickly, then maybe it's them. Miles asked, what about the Jets? Are they for real? Kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. I think they are a potential wild card team, if that makes them for real or not. But I'm not 100% sold based on their last 2 performances. I think they're better than I gave them credit for, but I always knew they were talented. It wasn't a matter of talent for me. So the Jets are kind of like playing at the peak of what I thought they could be, if that makes sense. So I think they're wild card, maybe. The AFC, kind of been interesting. But let's talk about the Bucs and the Steelers. Okay? So, is it time to panic in Tampa Bay? This game, the Pittsburgh Steelers game that just happened on Sunday, Steelers beat the Bucs 20-18, I believe was the score. Reminded me a lot of the game from last year versus the Washington Commies, where the Bucs were traveling on the road, took their opponent lightly. Washington got out to a lead. Washington got the momentum. Washington had an interior pass rush. Washington was able to do enough on offense, and Washington came out on top and won. And the Bucs were also dealing with injuries in that game. That's what this game reminded me of a lot. And a lot of it in that game was the Bucs kind of beat themselves. And the Bucs didn't necessarily beat themselves from a turnover standpoint. but they beat themselves from a coaching standpoint. And we're going to go over that right now. My biggest problem with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now is Byron Leftwich. Byron Leftwich was absolutely horrible in that game versus Pittsburgh. Byron Leftwich all season has lacked creativity, has been unable to overcome injuries with his play calling, has been unable to put these lesser players in positions to succeed, has been unable to shift his offense towards the new personnel on the team. And you've got to wonder why this guy was getting head coaching interviews. I mean, the reason their offense was so good last year is because they had Tom Brady, a great offensive line, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown at times, and Rob Gronkowski and Leonard Fournette. Not because they had Byron Leftwich calling the plays, guys. Byron Leftwich this season has been so fucking terrible. It's unbelievable. And he single-handedly, almost single-handedly, lost the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this football game. Let's go over Byron Leftwich and his decision to run the football on first down. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm not counting a timer, okay? 15, 16. Byron Leftwich called 16 first down runs in this game versus Pittsburgh. 16 first down runs. Why is this criminal? Why does this lose you a football game? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have Tom fucking Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, the greatest football player of all time, still playing very, very well. Is he the best quarterback right now? No, that's reserved for Allen Mahomes. After that, Brady's in the next tier. Brady was probably the best quarterback last year. There's no reason to not think Tom Brady cannot carry this football team from an offensive perspective. You've got Tom Brady, first of all. You have Mike Evans, future Hall of Famer, basically wakes up, rolls out of bed, and scores a touchdown. Chris Godwin. And a running game that is probably the worst in football. Like, it's ugly to watch. It's quite frankly gross. They can't move left to right. Leonard Fournette can't get anything going unless he's going straight ahead. Their offensive line gets bullied in the interior. Their center and their left guard are terrible in the run game. They can't get a push. And they're running the football with the worst running game instead of throwing the football with one of the best drop-back passing games in the NFL. Still one of the most accurate pinpoint passers in the NFL with dynamic receivers at his helm. They're running the football 16 times on first down. Now, not only did they run the ball 16 times on first down, 16 rushes for 52 yards on first down, guys. 16 rushes for 52 yards. That is 3.2 yards per carry. That's disgusting. Not only that, they had 3 runs. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 runs in the game on first down out of 16 that went for more than 4 yards a carry. 4 out of 16 that went for more than 4 yards a carry. Why, Brian Leftwich, do you continue to run the ball on first down if you're averaging 3 yards a carry? Not only that, guys, this is incompetent coaching. Incompetent. It's incompetency, if that's a word. The Pittsburgh Steelers are without their starting corners across the board. They don't have their number 1 corner, their number 2 corner, their number 3 corner. They don't have one of the best free safeties in the fucking NFL, Minkah Fitzpatrick. They do not have TJ Watt. Instead of throwing the football and trying to get after the weakness of this team, getting to those injuries, exposing those injuries, Byron Leftwich is running the football up the middle 90% of the time. They rarely ran the ball outside the tackles because they don't, because quite frankly, Leonard Fournette isn't good outside the tackles. He can run downhill, and he's good at it. But not with this offensive line. You've got Cam Hayward getting blocked by Robert Hainsey, and you're running the ball 16 times on first down for 3 yards a carry. 4 of those carries out of 16 went for more than 4 yards a carry. There were carries of 1 yard, 1 yard, 2 yards, 0 yards, 0 yards, 3 yards, 2 yards, -2 yards, a penalty, and a 1st and 17 where they ran the ball. Byron Leftwich, you ran the ball on 1st and 17 with Tom Brady, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans. Were you on drugs? Are you drunk? How much cocaine did you snort before the game? 1st and 17 against the Pittsburgh Steelers with no corners, no pass rushers, and you run the fucking ball at the Hall of Fame defensive lineman. With your 3rd round center and your bum ass left guard. Are you fucking kidding me? Guys, the reason the Bucs lost this game is because Byron Leftwich sucks. And Byron Leftwich needs to get his head out of his rear end. And if this continues, the Bucs will fail to reach expectations. But this has happened every season for Tampa Bay since Tom Brady has gotten there. Tom Brady overcomes the incompetency of this coaching staff every single year. And I can understand why not only is the man going through a divorce, but he's got to deal with this football team and this coaching. If you wonder why Tom Brady's yelling, why Tom Brady's angry, why Tom Brady looks like he doesn't want to be playing football, why Tom Brady looks like he didn't get any sleep, it's because he's got this guy calling his plays for him. Imagine if Sean Payton was coaching this football team. Imagine. Imagine if Josh McDaniels was coaching this football team. I don't even want to imagine if Bill Belichick was coaching this football team, how good this football team would be. And I've said it many times before. The last 3 seasons, if you just put Bill Belichick as the coach of the Bucs, they win 3 Super Bowls in a row. Like, it's so bad. And if you've got to throw the ball 40 times a game if you're the Bucs. You've got a terrible running game. Your offensive linemen are not good at run blocking right now. They can't get anything going. They can't get any push. You've got great receivers. You've got Tom Brady. And the thing with Brady is he gets in a rhythm. The more times he passes the ball, the better he gets. I've seen it so many times. How many times have we seen it versus the best defenses? Because he starts to get into that rhythm where he's throwing the ball, he's doing his quick passing game, then he's starting to pick you apart down the field, and it just feels unstoppable. When Brady is in the shotgun, he's running the offense the way he wants, and when you're throwing the ball 40 times a game with Tom Brady, it's hard to stop. It's hard to stop the greatest quarterback of all. It's not very hard to figure out. It's kind of hard to stop the greatest quarterback of all time when he actually gets the opportunity to have the ball 3 times on a series. It's kind of hard to stop Tom Brady 3 plays in a row for getting 10 yards because he knows where to go with the ball every time. Maybe one plays an incompletion, one plays 6 yards, one plays 10 yards, one plays 4 yards, one plays 8 yards. It's hard to stop Tom Brady, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans to get 10 yards on 3 plays. It's just hard, but it's easy to stop Tampa Bay when they're running for 1 yard on first down, and then all of a sudden it's 2nd and 9, and it's third and 9. That's why the Bucs offense looks like a bad offense. Their play calling is bad. And not only is their play calling bad, but they have no originality, no creativity, no flavor, nothing to help these players get open, nothing to make these players better, nothing to, allow Russell Gage, maybe a little bit of separation, nothing at all. It's just, okay, go out there, play. What are you doing? It looked like, honestly, bro, I was watching this game in the fourth quarter. I'm like, it looks like the Bucs are just practicing. It literally looks like they don't care. It looks like they're just calling whatever is on the sheet. Like, we're just going to practice running the ball because we haven't been good at it all year. So we're just going to practice. We're playing the Steelers. Who cares? We don't need to win. Whatever. We're just going to practice running the ball. We're going to see if we can run it. Like, that's what it looked like. That's what it looked like, guys. It looked like the Bucs were trying to practice running the ball. That's how bad it was. And the funny thing is, I go over the first down play selection where Brady is actually allowed to pass the ball, right? That was not in the late fourth quarter where they were in 2-minute situation. Where, by the way, the best Bucs offense is when Brady calls his own plays. Have you noticed that every time Brady's in a 2-minute situation, whether it's the end of the half or the end of the game, they score? Has anyone noticed that? They score a touchdown or they get a field goal. Has anyone noticed that? Why don't they just play with pace? Why don't they just play with tempo more often? Why don't they just say, Byron Leftwich, fuck you, get out of the building. Allow Tom Brady to call his own plays because you're absolutely detrimental to this team. You look at the other plays, okay? Play action for 5 yards. Play action, incomplete. Play action for 10 yards and a pass for 10 yards. So, there were 4 plays where Tom Brady was allowed to throw the ball on first down. 1 incompletion, 3 completions, 75% completion percentage. I would take that. 1 for 5 yards, which was better than 12 of the carries you had on first down, right? 12 out of 16. And 2 completions for a first down on first down. Why aren't you passing the ball? Why aren't you running play action more often on first down? It's not hard. Just do what works. You've seen this work this year. You pass the ball against the Chiefs, it works. You pass the ball against the Falcons early in the game, it works. Stop running the fucking ball so much. It doesn't make any sense, especially against a team that has no secondary. What else do I gotta say? Not only is it play calling, not only is it Byron Leftwich on that, but I mean, they just can't execute in the important situations of the game. They can't execute on short yardage. They can't execute in the red zone. They had how many opportunities in the red zone where they kick field goals? And this has been happening all year. Their red zone offense sucks. Part of it is because they can't run the ball, right? That's a big reason that they can't score a touchdown because they can't run the ball. And then the short yardage has been atrocious. Like, they've gone for it on 4th and 1 a number of times. They haven't been able to get it. 3rd and 1 is a struggle. I mean, they suck in short yardage right now. They suck in the red zone right now. There was plenty of opportunities. If you guys watch that game, they should have won this game easily. But the problem was they just couldn't score in the red zone, and they couldn't convert on 4th and short, despite all the running the ball on first down. That was terrible, too. So they overcame it, but when they got to those situations, they weren't able to overcome it. Next, Godwin is clearly not quite himself right now. He isn't quite at 100%, and you can tell, right? 6 for 12, 12 targets, 6 catches. I think he led the team in receiving yards in this game. He almost had 100 yards, but 6 for 12. That's 50% in the game. Not very good. So he's clearly not himself. Russell Gage just has not been a good addition to this football team. No explosion, no pop. Just looks like another guy. Cade Otton should play way more than he does. They tried to put Cam Brate back in the game. He gets knocked out of the game, unfortunately, once again, and I think that guy might have to retire, unfortunately. He's had a number of concussions throughout his career, but he shouldn't have been playing as much as he did anyways because Cade Otton is better than him at tight end. And they need to find a new left guard. If they don't find a new left guard, there's going to be certain teams that just give them problems. And it's not Hainsey. Hainsey's actually been good at center, but this Godke kid, their second round pick at guard, has been so bad. Like, he gets his ass kicked every single game. Grady Jarrett kicked his ass last week. Cam Hayward kicked his ass last game. Larry Ogunjobi kicked his ass last game. They've got to, like, trade deadline, the number one priority should be finding a left guard. Like, a guard. Somebody. Because there's going to be games. Like, if they have to play the Niners in the playoffs or they have to play the Eagles in the playoffs, they're going to lose. Because if they have Luke Godke. I mean, at least try somebody else. Like, try somebody else. That guy's getting his ass kicked every single rep in the running game and in the passing game. Both. Like, it's not just one. It's not like he can run block and he gets his ass kicked in the pass game. No, he can't do that either. Like, he's bad. He sucks. Like, you got to get rid of him. Okay? Some people were saying Brady missed some throws in the game. I mean, yeah, a couple, everybody does, but, like, there was Brady mostly, like, people say that a lot when Brady doesn't have a great game or the team loses because he intentionally throws the ball low a lot of the times because that's, if the guy's well covered, he puts the ball low so the ball isn't intercepted. He's done that for years. Like, I don't know if you guys watch Tom Brady, but that's kind of how he plays. The placement of the football is usually low, so the ball does not get batted up into the air and picked off. That's just how Tom Brady plays. That's where he places the ball. So I don't really agree with people saying that. Now, there was one play that I really noticeably saw Brady made, like, a mistake. It was a 3rd and 2 in the game where he was just late to get to Chris Godwin, and there was interior pressure. Again, Godke got his ass kicked, and it caused a bad throw for Brady on 3rd and 2, and that could have moved the chains and maybe could have been a nice drive for them. But he was late to get to Godwin on the play. So that was something I noticed in the game. They did try to use some more pistol to get the run game going. It worked, it didn't work. I mean, there wasn't a lot of it, but that will be interesting to see. That's what Peyton did later in his career. I'll see if that helps. I don't know. Leftwich just doesn't know he has Mike Evans on his team. Like, he puts him on the right side of the formation and just puts him out wide, and he doesn't move him anywhere. You got Mike Evans, okay? And the thing is, they don't have, like, Antonio Brown anymore, or they don't have, like, a great third receiver. So it's not like you can't just manufacture guys catches or, like, put them in spots to succeed. Like, why does Mike Evans have to be subjected to play in the same spot the entire game and just run against press coverage the entire game? Like, why can't you move Mike Evans into the slot? Why can't you move Mike Evans around the formation? Why can't you have Mike Evans in motion? Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand. Why don't you use Mike Evans more like you used, like, why don't you use him kind of like Gronk? Like, run him down the seam. Like, have him in the slot and just run him down the seam and have Brady throw him the ball. He's a big physical guy. Like, I don't understand. Some of these stuff is just terrible. Some of the stuff is just terrible. Like, the coaching is so bad. I don't know what to say. And then the defense wasn't that bad, to be honest with you. I mean, they did play Pittsburgh. They allowed 20 points at the end of the day, but when you look at what happened, touchdown drive on the opening drive, not ideal. They tend to start slow for Tampa. I don't know why. They need to fix that, but they've started slow all year, and the touchdown drive, opening drive, okay, whatever. Nice drive by Pittsburgh. It's a scripted drive. There was one play in the game where, or the touchdown where Najee Harris gets the ball in the flat wide open. I think it was D. Delaney's fault, but it could have been Devin White's fault. D. Delaney, I mean, we know him from last year. He's terrible at football. He's in the game because they didn't have Logan Ryan and they didn't have Mike Edwards. So they were down 2 safeties in the game. But still, I don't know why D. Delaney continues to play for Todd Bowles' defense. He's terrible. So I don't know who messed that up. Chris Boswell hit a 55-yard field goal. That was another 3 points. It hit off the crossbar and went in, by the way. So that was kind of fluky. And then a long kick return led to another 3 where the kick return got to like the 20-yard line of Tampa. And then they got another 3. So that's 13 points. And then there was a last fourth quarter drive where there was one big play that was caused by a substitution where Vita Vea was running off the field and the Bucs were confused. And then Trubisky hit like a long play to one of the guys who ran after the catch. That was pretty much what their defense allowed all game. Like, their defense did not play that bad. Their defense did play bad at the very end of the game where they allowed 4 third and 10-plus conversions in the second half. I mean, that's bad. You can't allow 3rd and 10-plus against Mitchell Trubisky. I mean, that's just bad. Like, you can't do that. And Joe Tryon, the last big conversion by Pittsburgh, just runs around the loop. You know, does the old run around the loop. Doesn't contain the pocket, allows Mitch Trubisky to step up, throw the ball down the field to Claypool for completion. That's a rookie mistake. Can't make that mistake. Jalen Darden is a terrible returner. Don't understand why he continues to be the punt returner for this team. They need to make more adjustments. Hopefully they see this on the tape. I don't know why. If I can see this on the tape, I don't know how they don't. They're NFL coaches. Defensively, though, they didn't have Sean Murphy-Bunting, Logan Ryan, Akeem Hicks, or Mike Edwards. Clearly showed a bit in the depth and in the nickel position in particular, where Chase Claypool had a great game and he took advantage of the matchups that he saw, including D. Delaney, including Levante David at times, including little Antoine Winfield, who's just, that's a mismatch. Even though Antoine Winfield's amazing, it's tough for him to cover a 6'5" receiver. So, Claypool had a great game, no doubt. And the Steelers played with a lot of heart. They played with a lot of energy. The fans helped. The home field helped. I think if this game was in Tampa, I think they still win, as bad as they were in this game. But, I mean, it was just bad. It was just bad. I do think defensively they need to continue to play Keanu Neal. I think he helps them against the run. But, I mean, to answer the question, are the Bucs in trouble? Not really, unless this Byron Leftwich madness continues. But the thing is that it's happened the last 2 years, and they've kind of been able to overcome it, or they've been able to adjust from it. So I think ultimately Tom Brady's too smart and he's too determined, and I don't think he'll allow this to happen for that much longer, where Byron Leftwich is just losing them the game because he's an idiot. So I think that this team, ultimately, when you look at the NFC and you look at the NFL, there are not that many teams that are more talented than them. There's not many teams that are better than them, especially considering there was 4 key contributors to their defense that did not play. And when their defense is fully healthy, they're a top 3 defense in the NFL. So even if they're not as good on offense as they have been, their defense will be able to pick up the slack if they're healthy down the stretch. So I think that the Bucs are still going to win 12 games this year because they have Tom Brady, the talent they have. But I do see holes. Like, I see areas where teams can take advantage. I see that you can get interior pass rush against Luke Godke. He's terrible. They got to fix that. They've got to get better in terms of short yardage and red zone. But you should get better. Just in terms of luck and natural regression, you should get better at those areas. And defensively, we know they will get better with health. I think that they should look to add a guard or an offensive lineman at the trade deadline. And hopefully Chris Godwin continues to get healthier. Or a tight end even. They could look to add a tight end. I think those things too. I mean, Brady definitely misses Gronk a bit. because he's the thing with Brady is the three most important offensive positions for Brady has always been slot receiver first, tight end, and running back, receiving running back. And he doesn't really have one of those positions, at least, maybe even 1.5. So we'll see. But I think the Bucs are, for me right now, they're the third best NFC team. If I were to stack it up next week and favor one team over the other entering a game, I'd only favor the Eagles or the Cowboys over them, and they beat the Cowboys. So there is something to be said about that. I still have my faith in them. They still got Tom Brady. Tom Brady's not washed whatsoever. He's still good. Is he playing epic like he was last year? No, but he's still very good. So I think the Bucs will still be fine, but I'm just frustrated with the clear things that could have been fixable in this game, and I think will be fixable moving forward. All right. That is it for the bottom line and for your weekly review. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, I'll stick around for 5 more minutes and I'll answer those questions. I see there's a couple questions and comments here. Atlanta fan says they were able to adjust with much better talent the last 2 seasons than this year. I kind of disagree. I mean, their talent is still really good. I mean, when you look across the NFL, there are not that many teams that are more talented than them. Maybe a fully healthy Niners team, maybe the Eagles. Other than that, the Bucs are in the top 5 at the very least in terms of talent. A lot of their problems have to do with coaching, as always. They're not even taking a lot of penalties this year. So you can't, I remember in the first year with Brady, they took a shit ton of penalties. So, I don't know. We'll see. Miles says, what do you think? I think the one area they're not as talented is offensive line. That's clear. Miles says, what do you think about Robbie Anderson getting ejected by his own coach and the next day getting traded to the Cardinals? Well, I'm happy that he got traded to somebody because it wasn't working in Carolina the last 2 years. So good for him, I guess. But I don't know. Robbie Anderson's a goofball. I don't really know what to say about that. It's just funny. Leftwich, LaFleur, and jump off a cliff, Kingsbury. Yep. Winris says, I think they might as well hand over the OC job to Brady. I did like that Brady posted a Instagram photo today. He did post something on Instagram today saying we will be better, stuff like that. I think that was good because people have been questioning oh, by the way, I have to say this. I forgot to say this. If you're questioning Brady for going to Robert Kraft's wedding, please get a life. Tom Brady and Robert Kraft are extremely close. It's almost like a father-son relationship. It's like his second dad. If you think that's the reason they lost, which, by the way, he was back on Saturday, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And if you're going to even judge the guy and get mad at the guy or think he's taking focus off football to go to basically what is his mentor, his wedding, you're insane and you're wrong. So I just want to point that out because that's ridiculous. Opinion on Zappy. So I discussed it during the Patriots section. So if you want to go back and listen to that, you can. But in terms of Zappy, very, very impressed with a lot of what I've seen. Accuracy, touch, anticipation as a thrower, just composure, confidence, vision. pocket presence. I think he has a lot of similar strengths to Mac, which is why they drafted him. I don't think he's as gifted as Mac is, and I do think Mac's the better option, but I have confidence in Zappy to win games. So I think he's been really, really promising, and either way, I'm going to cheer for them and root for the guy that's under center. I think that he has benefited from playing bad defenses, for sure. And I will say, the Patriots' offense is just good. Like, I think if you put any pretty good quarterback, any average quarterback in there for New England, they would be playing well. I mean, the offensive line since about week 3 has been playing really good. The running game is arguably the best in the NFL from a running back standpoint. They're using a lot more play action. They're figuring out their formula right now. And what I said earlier was the explosiveness from that play action game has taken the next step this year from last year. And I think with Mac, that would take an even bigger leap. So I'm really, really, really liking what I've seen from Matt Patricia's Patriots offense. Man deserves a raise. Giants making the playoffs? I think so. I'm on the train, and I think at this point, you can't deny him. You can't doubt him. I think they've got an easy enough schedule as well to make it. Sunset says, how about them Ravens? Only trailing less than 3 minutes all season, yet they are 3-3. I know, man. I talked about it already. It's disappointing. It's disappointing. They can't make the key plays. They can't make the clutch plays. It's the opposite of the Giants. The Giants had made all the key and clutch plays in the fourth quarter. The Ravens have not. Jets are better than the Bucks. I think that's still very, very hot takey. Very, very ridiculous. Jake says Denver looked good for a quarter tonight. Yeah, a quarter. Their defense is good. Offense is horrific. Pick to win the AFC North. Man, I really don't like what I've seen from the Bengals or the Ravens. I will say, Aqua, I have not seen the Bengals-Saints game yet, but I did like the stats of their increased passing percentages. So that's promising. If the Bengals become what they became late last year, where they're passing the ball a lot, specifically early downs, I think their offense will be better, and I think their defense will play better than they did against the Saints. I think the Bengals could win the division, but I also could see the Ravens winning the division. I think the Ravens have been the better team so far this year, but the way the Ravens have been losing these close games, I could easily see the Bengals winning the division. It's between those two teams. It's very easily between those two teams. The Steelers, they had a great win against the Bucks, but they're not going anywhere. And the Browns, they're toast. I mean, they're 2-4, and they play the Bengals, the Ravens, the Bucks, the Bills, the Dolphins in a row. They're fucked, okay? They're fucked. Yeah, Jake, there's a lot of mediocre, bad football out there for sure. And that's why I'm so pumped about the Patriots. Because I really look at the Patriots as one of the very few teams that has very few holes, if any. And, despite them being 3-3, I mean, they're on the up and up. And they've got a great coach. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They play very good defense. They play good special teams. Their offense is getting better. That's why I'm very pumped about the Patriots. Because there's not a lot of good teams in this league. There's not a lot of teams I would say the Patriots cannot beat in this league. So that's why I'm pumped about my team. Are the Eagles the best team or the Bills? I would say the Bills are the best team. The Eagles are my second best team, but you'll have to see on my power rankings. Belichick's looking like a genius for getting rid of J.C. Jackson. I will say I think part of J.C. Jackson's lack of success in LA is the injury, along with how he's being used as an off-coverage corner when he's a press man corner. They're not using him in that way. I think if he was in New England, he'd be playing a lot better just because he fits the system better. But he's looking like a genius, not because he got rid of J.C. Jackson, but because of the draft picks he made to replace J.C. Jackson. If you just strip J.C. Jackson from New England and you just had Joe Schmo go in there and replace him, it wouldn't look great. But Jack Jones was a phenomenal draft pick, right? PFF's #1 graded corner so far. Marcus Jones looks good. Jalen Mills has already been good. And then they've got some depth at corner. Jonathan Jones is very good. So they've got really good corners. And a couple of them are rookies. And they've got really good safeties. So they've been able to replace him. You know? That's really why they look good. Do you think the Vikings can win the division? Yeah, I would probably say right now they're going to win the division. The Packers are in trouble. See, I look at the Packers and the Bucs differently. The Bucs is mostly on like the coaching and some small things like they can't execute in the red zone. They can't execute in short yardage. Like things you can fix. The Packers is like systemic. Like Rodgers is sick to his stomach with the receivers he has. LaFleur can't fix the offense. Like it's a result of not having the Jimmies and Joes, if that makes sense. So I think the Packers are kind of in trouble, and their defense is soft. I do think the Bills will win the Super Bowl, but we'll see. Never know. The best team doesn't always win the Super Bowl. The Pats do have a bye week on Monday Night Football, yes. Get above 500. That's what we like to see. Hopefully they can build some more confidence, though. I wonder if Mac will play. I kind of doubt he will, but we'll see. Ninth Wonder says, do you think the Pats will make the playoffs? And if so, what happens? I do think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't know. It's kind of still far away to say. Because I look at their schedule. I think it's fairly easy. And I do think they're playing very well. But I look at their schedule, and I don't see that many teams that are better than them on their schedule. I mean, they play the Bears, play the Jets twice. I mean, I assume they might lose one of those games, but they kind of own the Jets. They did last year at least. The Colts, I think they're better than the Colts, and they play that game at home. Matt Ryan's got to go outdoors, so I like that for us. The Vikings will be tough in Minnesota. The Bills will be tough. They play them twice, obviously. They should beat the Cardinals. The Raiders are going to be tough. The Bengals will be tough, but I like how we match up with the Bengals and the Dolphins. So, I mean, like, I think we're going to win 10, at least 10. Like, I really do. So, I think they're going to make the playoffs. And the AFC isn't as good as we thought it would be. The Broncos suck. The Chargers are flawed. The Raiders are 1-4, even though I think the Raiders are better than their record by a long shot. The Titans are not very good. The Colts are not very good. Jacksonville's 2-4. Cincinnati's okay. Baltimore's okay. Cleveland's done. Pittsburgh's done. Like, the Jets are better than we thought, but that's like the only team that is better than we thought, I think. Really. Do you want Mac back, and is there any question he's better than your backup? I do want Mac back. I do think he is our best option. I know that there's a lot of Zappy fever going around. I do like Zappy. I do like what I've seen. There's no doubt he's played great. It's hard to doubt that, but Mac's the guy. Mac's the guy. Mac's a good quarterback. Mac had a great rookie season, and I think a lot of what's happened with Zappy is due to the fact that team has gotten better, and that typically happens with the Patriots. Usually they struggle in the first 3 or 4 weeks, and then Belichick figures it out. He makes adjustments. They get everything going, and then that's where you take off. I think that's... If Mac can come back healthy, and he adds what he can do into this offense, how it's looking, I think it'll be good. Matt Ryan played his best game on Sunday, so I'm not going to be too, upset or angry about him, but I do think he's not very good anymore. Like, he can't push the ball down the field. He doesn't have a lot of arm strength. He can't move. Like, he needs a lot to go right for him. I think that's why the Colts are limited. The Colts should win the division, but I don't know. How will the NFL address the roughing the passer situation? They already kind of are, Big Al, with all the penalties. And I think that will be addressed in the offseason as well. Probably just more cracking down on penalties. I don't know what else they can do. Maybe some sort of improved concussion protocol, stricter concussion protocol, tests that you have to pass, things of that nature. All right, guys. That is it. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it, man. And if you did enjoy, Gronk spike the like button. If you're watching this after the fact, don't forget to give me a comment in the comment section. And if you are in the live chat and have any last second comments, just wait till this video is loaded on YouTube and post your comment there, and I will respond. Thanks for watching. It's Mitch. Peace. Power rankings tomorrow live.